TikTok, I'm asking for your help. I'm at the county jail and I came here with my husband to pay some debt, and there were ICE agents outside and we didn't notice, and when we were walking out of the county jail, they were waiting right there in the corner and they just took him from me, and I'm asking for help. We have 5 kids that need their dad. Please help me.
You was singing all that mess, talking about I we bo for door not thrown. And now you're screaming, shouting, acting like we supposed to give a damn about your husband being deported after you was singing, talking about I love my freedom. But your man ain't free no more, is he? Like we supposed to have to give.
Person after person left Miami's immigration court in tears Thursday.
And there's actually people sobbing on the other line, crying and scared for the family members.
If you voted for that orange man and you are now saying, this is not what I voted for, this is not what I voted for, this is quite literally exactly what you voted for. And if you truly did not think that this was going to happen by electing that man into office, then you are willingly uneducated and ignorant. And I suggest next time you think about voting in an election, you educate yourself other than watching Fox News. Yeah.
This message is, though, for the Cubans for Trump. Actually, for all Latinos for Trump. The Supreme Court just revoked the legal status of 500,000 people from, like, Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela, I think, and then somewhere else. So you guys better start packing your shit, because they're coming after you. They don't care that you voted for them. They never cared about you in the first place, dog. We tried to tell you this shit, but you didn't listen. So now they're coming after you. Supreme Court just ruled on it. You guys better start packing, because they're going to either leave on your own terms now at this point, or they're going to come after you. You guys are in danger. And you voted for it. That's the crazy part.
Cubans for Trump are breaking down in tears. They're crying online and looking for sympathy. Again, after voting against their best interest, after voting for racism, after voting for hatred, thinking that they were special, among all the Latinos, they thought that, the Cuban Adjustment Act was enough to protect them from, being deported, as other Latinos were being rounded up and deported back to their countries. But now, the man whom they chanted for, the man whom they supported, the man whom they even composed a whole song for his campaign. We all know the song, I Will Vote Donald Trump. Yeah, that song. That man has turned against them and beat them in their backs, and they cannot believe this. They are crying for sympathy. They are asking the hard question, the question that people actually have been trying to answer for them all along. The orange man doesn't care about you. All he wanted was your vote, and now that he got your vote, you do not matter anymore. Well, let's get into it, guys. I'm your presenter, Joel Mugisha. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing. Hit that like button. Let's talk about it.
For all the Cubans that voted for Trump, you said that Fidel was Barack, that Fidel was Hillary, that Fidel was Biden. But the person that's kicking 500,000 of you guys out of this country and got the Supreme Court to back him was the person that you loved, that the person that you bought hats and whistles and got on boats for, and that you yelled his name and flew his flags. Donald Trump is the one who's kicking y'all asses up out of here with the quickness and got the Supreme Court to back his play.
I will The viral deportation video of Los Tres de La Habana singer is false. The woman crying in that clip isn't even part of the group. But here's what's real and worth talking about. This week, a nice whistleblower came out saying agents are being pushed to hit deportation quotas, even if the people they're arresting have no criminal records. They're being told, get those numbers up. And that's real. And yes, Los Tres de La Habana, that group, did support Trump. They made a whole song about him. And for some Cuban Americans, seemed to make sense at the time. Trump took a hard stance on Cuba and Venezuela. And many Cuban exiles took that as strength. But here's the thing. Turns out supporting Trump doesn't yield you from a broken immigration system. Quotas do not care who you voted for. The system comes for everyone eventually. And trust me when I say one fake video doesn't make the fear unreal. These quotas are hurting our families and we need to continue talking about it.
I bet Cubans for Trump hate to see my fat ass coming, but you knew I was coming. You knew I would not let 24 hours pass before I would get on here and have my fucking say. 530,000 Cuban, Haitian, and Venezuelan refugees have got to get the fuck up out of here. Their refugee status has been canceled. But remember that one time when that black lady was running for president and she tried to tell your motherfucking asses? And you didn't listen. You were singing, I will vote for Donald Trump. Remember that? We tried to warn you. Now the time is up. TikTok, you got to get the fuck up out of here. And nobody's sorry for you. You thought because your skin was just a tad bit lighter than the other Latinos that you were the chosen ones and you were special. You thought you would be able to stay. You were different. You're not. You're not. And we tried to warn you. Kamala tried to warn you. Now, if Kamala was president, you could have probably stayed, but you didn't want her as president. You proudly would vote for Donald Trump, and you probably still would. So get the fuck up out of here.
I will vote. Raise your hand, come on.
We all know her. She is on fire right now. She is trending bigly. But wait a minute. Wait. Watch.
Yanet Correa screams injustice after her husband was placed on an expedited deportation order after showing up to his immigration check-in in Miami.
That is the same lady who sings the Donald Trump song. Her name is Yanet Correa. She is a Cuban in Florida, and her husband is being deported. Honestly, this brings me joy. For years, especially in Florida, a large portion of the Cuban community has been reliably voting Republican, and more recently, full-blown MAGA. I think Florida Cubans are some of the most problematic Latinos in terms of voting. They rallied behind Trump as he screamed about mass deportation, somehow thinking it wouldn't apply to them. Surprise. And I'm so glad that they voted themselves out of our country. Trump campaigned on mass deportation, and these MAGA Cubans voted for mass deportation, and now they're getting deported. They got what they voted for, and I love that for them. A lot of Cubans, possibly seeking legal status like naturalization in the U.S., have now eliminated themselves from the voting rolls. And I say good, because I'm tired of them sabotaging our elections. Now again, I do not wish this on the Cubans who don't support Trump, but statistically, most of them do.
You know, with all this going on and the white Cubans trying to hold black folks accountable, it made me think about something. Do you know that every time that I've been pulled over and racially profiled, it's been by a white Cuban? A white officer has never pulled me over. I bought the Dodge Charger back in 2005 when it first came out on the line, and a lot of black men were purchasing that car. It was between the Dodge Charger, the Dodge Magnum, and the Chrysler 300. If you were a black man, they were automatically pulling you over and looking for things. After the first maybe 1 or 2 times I got pulled over, I didn't think nothing about it. But I got pulled over every single time I was in North Miami Beach after per se 10:30. I even tried to change my routes, and they would still pull me over. But anytime they found out I was a woman, they would let me go. They wouldn't even ask for my license and registration. They were literally targeting black men. And every time I drove off, I always thought about, what if I was a black man?
As Latinos, we need to have more empathy for the Cubans being wrongly deported, because no, we don't, okay? This is exactly what you wanted. Inadvertently, you voted for this, all right? I'm reminded of that little jingle, I will vote for Donald Trump. And now that they're getting deported, I think, cógete a Donald Trump. You voted yourselves out. You voted your family members out by voting him in. You thought that it was only going to be los negritos, the ones that look like me that were going to be, deported, okay? And no, see, I know a Cuban guy. I knew a Cuban guy up until last week. His name was Usnavi. And if you know Cubans, there's always one of them named Usnavi. When your name is literally spelled out U.S. Navy and you have U.S. agents cuffing you, y tú estás, ¿qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? Que te vas pa'l carajo ahora, eh? And this dude was a janitor, but janitor in New Jersey, you can make a lot of money. He had a pickup truck. Él tenía su banderita gringa, tú me entiendes. He was very proud to be an American. Come to find out que te enviaron pa' Cuba de nuevo. It's hilarious, and at the same time, it's upsetting. I've always gotten along con lo que no son niega raza. The people that are Latin, Caribbean, that don't deny their blackness. ¿Por qué? Because our ancestors over here in this country used to hang together. You understand? Julio Roldan, 1970. Look it up. The information's out there, all right? Cubans, you got that movie Scarface, and it just put you on another fucking roller coaster of a ride in your mind. ¿Te creía que the world is yours, chico? No, it's not.
I wanted to talk about the statement Homeland Security just made. And it has to do with those that fell under the Refugee and Parole Act. Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, right? And I hope you know that as soon as Trump came in, he revoked the status of 500,000 immigrants. I got a couple of points to make on that, but let me give you the timeline. 2022, the Biden administration allowed, I don't think it was 500,000 then, but allowed refugees to come in under that program, seeking legal status. Okay, that becomes important in a minute. And what does this administration do? The minute they come in here, they revoke it. I'm gonna get to my point, because between MAGA and Cubans for Trump, and by the way, this video, if I talk about Cubans, I'm talking about Cubans for Trump, Venezuelans for Trump. That's who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Cubans in general. Had a couple people get offended the last time. You should know me by now. I got a hard on for Cubans for Trump, Venezuelans for Trump, not people in mi gente community. Anyway, with that being said, first thing this administration does, as soon as they come in, is they revoke that status, right? Now, that went to a court, and it was on stay, meaning that the Trump administration couldn't do anything. But it was heard by the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said they can deport the 500,000 people. So now leads me to my statement today. Homeland Security makes a statement today that says this: either deport yourself or we will deport you. You have to understand that those immigrants that are here legally are like low-hanging fruit. They're the easiest ones to get to by revoking their status. Okay? Now, here's where my disgust, right, and the hypocrisy of those that voted for him, Cubans and Venezuelans, this is where my disgust comes in for you as a human being. Because you now made it impossible for anyone seeking a better life for their family. You now made it impossible by voting for this piece of shit, right? To take away from people the same programs that you benefited from. Because if we talk about the Cuban Adjustment Act, yeah, we're talking about housing, we're talking about welfare, we're talking about food stamp, we're talking about school training, right? We're talking about all these things, right? And they love to tell you, I came to this motherfucking country to work hard. No, you came out to this motherfucking country with a handout, and you got it easy. And democratic policies is the one that kept you in this fucking country with your handout. Now you turn around as hypocrites to your own people, and you destroy that opportunity for people seeking refuge in another country or seeking to build a better life for their country. And here's where MAGA comes into that same ye say statement, right? They love to tell us they should have done it fucking legally. Then what the fuck do you think the Refugee and Parole Act is, motherfucker? What the fuck do you think that is? And here it goes for all my Latinos, whether you voted for him or not. That's a prime example that they just simply don't want us here. Because even those under a program in which they were obtaining their legal citizenship is the first thing they fucking revoked. You can keep believing that shit if you want. But I digress. Against this video is against Cubans for Trump and Venezuelans for Trump. This is about you. This video is about you. I really don't believe that Nicaraguans and Haitians think like that. I know plenty of them, and I don't believe they think like it's just you two dumb motherfuckers right there.
So the leader the leader of Latinos for Trump, Cuban edition. Sorry. Hector Luis Valdez Cocho. Yeah, he's been detained by ICE. I will vote for Donald Trump. The wildest part about this is Donald Trump was very clear that he's going after criminals, even though we all know that that's a lie. We knew it was a lie when he said it. Did he think that they didn't mean him? May this level of delusion that made y'all trust and believe in this man and trust and believe that your proximity made you one of them never find me.
And before you make a video trying to demonize black folks for saying they're not doing shit because things were done when it mattered in that voting booth in November, I want you to make a video and I want you to call out Latinas for Trump. And I want you to call out Mexicans for Trump. And I want you to call out Cubans for Trump. And I want you to rally everybody else who voted for their own demise while me and mine was in the booth. Call them out. Don't worry about us. We're well aware that this is affecting us. Which is so funny because the last 6 months he's been doing everything to target black folks and they can't seem to figure out why we haven't wowed out yet. That's what's real. Y'all quick to want somebody to come out to the front lines for y'all, but when was the last time you saw what was happening that directly affects us and y'all was like, you know what? We in there. Oh, okay.
Alright guys, there you have it. Actually, we all know that Latinos for Trump voted against their best interest, and we have seen a lot of videos online, a lot of people, a lot of Latinos actually crying, a lot of them regretting their votes. But the most important videos have been coming from Cubans for Trump, Venezuelans for Trump. And this is because this group of people actually voted thinking that they were better than other Latinos, especially Venezuelans with their temporary protective status and Cubans for Trump with their Cuban Adjustment Act, which actually protected them. All they had to do was to come to the United States and file for asylum, and they would actually be given, green cards on arrival, which is very different from other Latinos. Other Latinos would have to come to the United States as illegal immigrants and actually work, for years to even get any kind of document, any kind of status, and that would only be possible by them actually, being married to a US citizen or maybe having children in the United States, which these are loopholes that the orange man is looking to revoke. We all know that he has been actually looking for ways to revoke birthright citizenship. Yeah, that's right. That means that if your parents come to the United States as illegal immigrants, you will no longer actually be given citizenship by being born to them. You will no longer be given citizenship by being born in the United States. So that means if one or two of your parents are actually illegal immigrants, then you are actually in a dilemma because you'll be a stateless child. You cannot be given citizenship. This is the loophole that they're looking actually to, remove, because a lot of illegal immigrants, a lot of even legal immigrants whose visas actually expire have used this loophole to actually get their children US citizens. We have politicians in Africa, we have musicians all over the world who actually have money. All they do, when they are pregnant, they just come to the US, give birth in the United States, give their children US citizenship, and then go back, fly back to where they came from. Now, for the case of Cubanos, they actually thought that they were better because of the Cuban Adjustment Act. They thought that, they were covered. They thought that they will never actually be protected. So they tried actually to support, the orange man, not thinking about, what the orange man had been preaching in his campaign, mass deportation from day one, and also calling one of the Latin American countries a pile of garbage. We all know which country, Puerto Rico. Now, this is actually not a surprise because you guys had the orange man back in 2017. I keep on saying this, you might be fooled once, but not twice. This is a decision that you guys made out of hatred. This is a decision that you guys made out of racism. Now, you're getting exactly what you voted for. Why are you coming all over looking for sympathy from Democrats, from black folks, yet they actually try to help you all? They went out there and did the heavy lifting. They voted in your favor. Now, you went ahead and voted against them because you did not want a black woman as president. Now, where is that hatred getting you? It's getting you deported. Where is that racism getting you? It's getting you deported. This is what you wanted. This is what you voted for. Now, as we have seen in the videos, guys, a lot of Cubans for Trump, Latinos for Trump are getting separated from their husbands, from their children, from their families, because of voting against their best interests, because of not listening to people, because of their hatred. How does someone with a common sense actually go ahead and actually vote against their own community? Because some people will come here and try to tell me that, illegal immigrants do not vote. Yes, I agree with you, but we have Latino communities who are legal citizens either by birthright or by actually naturalization. So among the Cubanos, we have Cuban Americans. Yeah, those are the ones that actually went ahead and voted against their own community. Among the Venezuelans, we have Venezuelan Americans who are citizens. They voted against their own community. Latinos at large, actually, we have a lot of citizens in the Latino community who actually went ahead and voted against their own community. Knowing that their community holds the largest number of illegal immigrants, they still went ahead and voted for the orange man after the orange man ran a campaign on mass deportation from day one. Well, this is what you wanted. You got it. You voted for this. You F around. Now you're finding out. Let me know in the comment section, guys. What do you think about today's episode? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. I'm your presenter, Joel Mugisha. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing, hit that like button, and see you on the next episode.